Hello, hello, Coach Kevin here, and we are going to go ahead and get started. First thing I want to go ahead and do, share my screen with you, point out a couple things really quick. First thing I'd like to point out here is that we have a Facebook group that coincides with this meetup, has exactly the same name. I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. I want to be really rich and I do not apologize for it. And you can go into your own Facebook profile, go where it says search Facebook, type in I want to be really rich and I do not apologize for it, and you can come join us there. The other way you could join us is to go to facebook.com/groups/ I want to be really rich as one word. And if you do so, you will find, as long as I remember, which I typically do, to hit the record button, you will find that we go ahead and archive our Zoom meetings here. So let's say today you really like it and you want to re-audit it and go through it again and repeat it. You can come here typically in 24 to 48 hours and it'll be here available to you. Or let's say, for instance, you're with us and it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, for some reason Thursday you can't make it, but you can come on Friday, and we're in the middle of going through some material that is taking several days to go through and you want to stay caught up with us. That's the way you can go and stay caught up. You can always go back and again watch the recording. So just wanted to point those things out to you really quick. Hopefully that's helpful for you, and we'd be happy to have you come join us. Okay, next thing I want to do is point out what we are in the process of going through. We are in the process of going through a book that was written by a gentleman by the name of Maxwell Maltz. Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon. I say was, not because he stopped doing it as much as because he's passed on. And so he wrote this book a while ago. But it's a phenomenal book. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. Now let me go ahead and show you. We're on page 140 right now, but let me show you where you can get a copy for yourself and follow along if you'd like to. So all I did was type in Psycho-Cybernetics PDF into Google, and several options came up. The one I liked was this one, Psycho-Cybernetics. It's in caps by Maxwell Maltz-WordPress.com, and then the website is Dean Wallace, whatever files. But anyhow, when it came up, what I did is I just went ahead and clicked on it. And then hopefully it'll open up quickly here. It opened up for me just like that. And we are currently on page 140. So let me put that in there. Let me blow it up a little bit bigger. But I share this with you so you know where we found it. I actually own a copy of it on Kindle, also on Audible. However, I wanted to see if I could find a free copy for you guys to grab and that we could all use so you could follow along. And then all I did was I went ahead and downloaded it here so it's on my computer so that if I'm offline, it's easy to get to. All right. So now you can get a copy of your own if you like to follow along. The other thing is, for the moment, you can follow along as I'm sharing my screen. And here is what we're going to be doing is I'm going to start reading. Let's see, it said 140. Where was the paragraph though? Where were we? There we are. This is where we left off yesterday. So why are we choosing this particular book to go through? You know, the meetup group is about manifesting more money and wealth in your life. And this particular book, from a scientific standpoint, talks about how the mind works. So we've gone through some things that have been sometimes a little bit more on the spiritual side. This one is a bit more on the scientific side. Not to say that, you know, some spiritual things aren't mentioned or whatnot. But this is predominantly telling us how we were created, how we function at a mechanical level, and why we are actually goal-seeking machines. We have it inbred and built into us to always want to be achieving more than we've done so far. And this is going to tell us how we were programmed, how we've gotten gummed up with that programming because it could be false, and how we could change the programming so that it will serve us instead of fight against us. in manifesting more money and wealth in our lives. So I'm going to hop in right here. And then we typically leave about 10 to 15 minutes towards the end where you guys can go ahead and share what you like to share or ask whatever questions you would like to ask. So we'll leave that. We'll definitely follow that format and give you the opportunity to interact with us when we're done going through doing a little bit of reading. So I'll read, I'll comment where I feel it's helpful, and we will go from there. Faith and courage are natural instincts. Have you ever wondered why the urge or desire to gamble seems so instinctive in human nature? My own theory is that this universal urge is an instinct, which, when used correctly, urges us to bet on ourselves, to take a chance on our own creative potentialities. When we have faith and act with courage, that is exactly what we're doing, gambling on, taking a chance on our own creative God-given talents. It is also my theory that people who frustrate this natural instinct by refusing to live creatively and act with courage are the people who develop gambling fever and become addicts of gambling tables. A man who will not take a chance on himself must bet on something. And the man who will not act with courage sometimes seeks the feeling of courage from a bottle. Faith and courage are natural human instincts, and we feel a need to express them in one way or another. Prescription: be willing to make a few mistakes, to suffer a little pain to get what you want. Don't sell yourself short. Most people, says General R.E. Chambers, chief of the Army's Psychiatry and Neurology Consultant Division, don't know how brave they really are. In fact, many potential heroes, both men and women, live out their lives in self-doubt. If they only knew they had these deep resources, it would help give them the self-reliance to meet most problems, even a big crisis. You've got the resources, but you never know you got them until you act and give them a chance to work for you. Another helpful suggestion is to practice acting boldly and with courage in regard to little things. Do not wait until you can be a big hero in some dire crisis. Daily living also requires courage. And by practicing courage in little things, we develop the power and talent to act courageously in more important matters. Charity. Successful personalities have some interest in and regard for other people. They have a respect for others' problems and needs. They respect the dignity of human personality and deal with other people as if they were human beings rather than pawns in their own game. They recognize that every person is a child of God and is a unique individuality which deserves some dignity and respect. It is a psychological fact that our feelings about ourselves tend to correspond to our feelings about other people. When a person begins to feel more charitably about others, he invariably begins to feel more charitably toward himself. The person who feels that people are not very important cannot have very much deep down self-respect and self-regard, for he himself is people. And with what judgment he considers others, he himself is unwittingly judged in his own mind. One of the best known methods of getting over a feeling of guilt is to stop condemning other people in your own mind. Stop judging them, stop blaming them, and hating them for their mistakes. You will develop a better and more adequate self-image when you begin to feel that other people are more worthy. Another reason that charity toward other people is symptomatic of the successful personality is because it means that the person is dealing with reality. People are important. People cannot for long be treated like animals or machines or as pawns to secure personal ends. Hitler found this out. So will other tyrants wherever they may be found, in the home, in business, or in individual relationships. Prescription. The prescription for charity is threefold. One, try to develop a genuine appreciation for people by realizing the truth about them. They're children of God, unique personalities, creative beings. Two, Take the trouble to stop and think of the other person's feelings, his viewpoints, his desires and needs. Think more of what the other fellow wants and how he must feel. A friend of mine, my kids, yeah, the friend of mine kids, his wife, oh, a friend of mine kids, his wife, by telling her whenever she asks him, "Do you love me?" "Yes," whenever I stop and think about it. There's a lot of truth to this. We cannot feel anything about other people unless we stop and think about them. 3, act as if other people are important and treat them accordingly. In your treatment of people, have regard for their feelings. We tend to feel about objects in accordance with the way we treat them. Esteem. Several years ago, I wrote a contribution to the Words to Live By feature of This Week magazine on the words of Carlyle. Alas, the fearful unbelief is unbelief in yourself. At that time, I said, of all the traps and pitfalls in life, self-disesteem is the deadliest and the hardest to overcome, for it is a pit designed and dug by your own hands, summed up in the phrase, "It's no use, I can't do it." The penalty of succumbing to it is heavy, both for the individual in terms of material rewards lost and for society in gains and progress unachieved. As a doctor, I might also point out that defeatism has still another aspect, a curious one, which is seldom recognized. It is more than possible that the words quoted above are Carlyle's own confession of the secret that lay behind his own craggy assertiveness, his thunderous temper and waspish voice, and his appalling domestic tyranny. Carlyle, of course, was an extreme case, but isn't it on those days when we are most subject to the fearful unbelief, when we most doubt ourselves and feel inadequate to our task? Isn't it precisely then that we are most difficult to get along with? We simply must get it through our heads that holding a low opinion of ourselves is not a virtue, but a vice. Let me repeat that. We must simply get it through our heads that holding a low opinion of ourselves is not a virtue, but a vice. Jealousy, for example, which is the scourge of many a marriage, is nearly always caused by self-doubt. The person with adequate self-esteem doesn't feel hostile toward others. He isn't out to prove anything. He can see facts more clearly, isn't as demanding in his claims on other people. The housewife who felt that a facelift might cause her husband and children to appreciate her more really needed to appreciate herself more. Middle age, plus a few wrinkles and a few gray hairs, had caused her to lose self-esteem. She then became supersensitive to innocent remarks and actions of her family. Prescription: stop carrying around a mental picture of yourself as defeated, worthless person. Stop dramatizing yourself as an object of pity and injustice. Use the practice exercises in this book to build up an adequate self-image. The word esteem literally means to appreciate the worth of. Why do men stand in awe of the stars and the moon, the immensity of the sea, the beauty of a flower or a sunset, and at the same time downgrade themselves? Did not the same creator make a man? Is not man himself the most marvelous creation of all? This appreciation of your own worth is not egotism, unless you assume that you made yourself and you should take some credit. Do not downgrade the product merely because you haven't used it correctly. Don't childishly blame the product for your own errors, like the schoolboy who said, "This typewriter can't spell." But the biggest secret of self-esteem is this: begin to appreciate other people more. Show respect for any human being merely because he is a child of God and therefore a thing of value. Stop and think when you're dealing with people. You're dealing with a unique individual creation of the creator of all. Practice treating other people as if they had some value, and surprisingly enough, your own self-esteem will go up. For real self-esteem is not derived from the great things you've done, the things you own, the mark you've made, but an appreciation of yourself for what you are, a child of God. When you come to this realization, however, you must necessarily conclude that all other people are to be appreciated for the same reason. Self-confidence. Confidence is built upon an experience of success. When we first begin any undertaking, we are likely to have little confidence because we've not learned from experience that we can succeed. This is true of learning to ride a bicycle, speak in public, or perform surgery. It is literally true that success breeds success. Even a small success can be used as a stepping stone to a greater one. Managers of boxers are very careful to match them carefully so they can have a graduated series of successful experiences. We can use the same technique, starting gradually and experiencing success at first on a small level or scale. Another important technique is to form the habit of remembering past successes and forgetting failures. This is the way both an electronic computer and the human brain are supposed to operate. Practice improves skill and success in basketball, golf, horseshoe pitching, or salesmanship, not because repetition has any value in itself. If it did, we would learn our errors instead of our hits. A person learning to pitch horseshoes, for example, will miss the stake many more times than he will hit it. If mere repetition were the answer to improve skill, his practice would make him more expert at missing, since that is what he has practiced most. However, although he misses many, his misses may outnumber his hits 10 to 1, through practice, his misses gradually diminish and his hits come more and more frequently. This is because the computer in his brain remembers and reinforces his successful attempts and forgets the misses. This is the way that both an electronic computer and our own success mechanisms learn to succeed. Yet, what do most of us do? We deny our self-confidence by remembering past failures and forgetting all about past successes. Go back here again for a moment. However, although his misses may outnumber hits 10 to 1, through practice, his misses gradually diminish and his hits come more and more frequently. This is because the computer in his brain remembers and reinforces his successful attempts and forgets the misses. So reinforce your successful attempts and forget the misses. This is the way that both an electronic computer and our own success mechanisms learn to succeed. Yet, what do most of us do? We destroy our self-confidence by remembering past failures and forgetting all about past successes. We not only remember failures, we impress them on our minds with emotion, which is going to get it to become subconscious. We condemn ourselves. We flay ourselves with shame and remorse. Both are highly egotistical, self-centered emotions, by the way. And self-confidence disappears. It doesn't matter how many times you failed in the past. What matters is the successful attempt, which should be remembered, reinforced, and dwelt upon. Charles Kettering has said that any young man who wants to be a scientist must be willing to fail 99 times before he succeeds once, and suffer no ego damage because of it. Prescription. Use errors and mistakes as a way to learning, then dismiss them from your mind. Deliberately remember and picture your past successes. Everyone has succeeded sometime at something, especially when beginning a new task. Call up the feelings you experienced in some past successes, however small it might have been. Repeat that. When beginning a new task, call up the feelings you experienced in some past successes, however small it might have been. Dr. Winfried Overholzer, superintendent of St. Elizabeth's Hospital, has said that recalling brave moments is a very sound way to restore belief in yourself. That too many people are prone to let one or two failures blot out all good memories. If we will systematically relive our brave moments in memory, he says, we will be surprised to see we had more courage than we thought. Dr. Overholser recommends the practice of vividly remembering our past successes and brave moments as an invaluable aid whenever self-confidence is shaken. Repeat that. Dr. Overholser recommends the practice of vividly remembering our past successes and brave moments as an invaluable aid whenever self-confidence is shaken. And by the way, you don't have to wait until your self-confidence is shaken. Use it when you're already feeling confident. Self-acceptance. No real success or genuine happiness is possible until a person gains some degree of self-acceptance. The most miserable and tortured people in the world are those who are continually straining and striving to convince themselves and others that they are something other than what they basically are. And there is no relief and satisfaction like that comes when one finally gives up the shams and pretenses and is willing to be himself. Success, which comes from self-expression, often eludes those who strive and strain to be somebody, and often comes almost of its own accord when a person becomes willing to relax and be himself. Changing your self-image does not mean changing yourself or improving yourself, but changing your own mental picture, your own estimation, conception, and realization of that self. The amazing results which follow from developing an adequate and realistic self-image come about not as a result of self-transformation, but from self-realization and self-revelation. Your self right now is what it has always been and all that it can ever be. You did not create it. You cannot change it. You can, however, realize it and make the most of what already is by gaining a true mental picture of your actual self. There is no use straining to be somebody. You are what you are now. You are somebody, not because you've made $1 million or drive the biggest car on your block or win at bridge, but because God created you in his own image. Most of us are better, wiser, stronger, more competent now than we realize. Creating a better self-image does not create new abilities, talents, powers. It releases and utilizes them. Let me repeat that. Creating a better self-image does not create new abilities, talents, powers. It releases and utilizes them. We can change our personality, but not our basic self. Personality is a tool, an outlet, a focal point of the self that we use in dealing with the world. It is the sum total of our habits, attitudes, learned skills, which we use as a method of expressing ourselves. You are not your mistakes. Self-acceptance means accepting and coming to terms with ourselves now, just as we are, with all our faults, weaknesses, shortcomings, errors, as well as our assets and strengths. Self-acceptance is easier, however, if we realize that these negatives belong to us, they are not us. Self-acceptance is easier, however, if we realize that these negatives belong to us, they are not us. Many people shy away from healthy self-acceptance because they insist upon identifying themselves with their mistakes. You may have made a mistake, but this does not mean that you are a mistake. You may not be expressing yourself properly and fully, but this does not mean you yourself are no good. We must recognize our mistakes and shortcomings before we can correct them. The first step toward acquiring knowledge is the recognition of those areas where you're ignorant. The first step toward becoming stronger is the recognition that you are weak. And all religions teach that the first step towards salvation is the self-confession that you are a sinner. In the journey toward the goal of ideal self-expression, we must use negative feedback data to correct course, as in any other goal-striving situation. This requires admitting to ourselves and accepting the fact that our personality, our expressed self, or what some psychologists call our actual self, is always imperfect and short of the mark. No one ever succeeds during a lifetime in fully expressing or bringing into actuality all the potentialities of real self. In our actual expressed self, we never exhaust all the possibilities and powers of the real self. We can always learn more, perform better, behave better. The actual self is necessarily imperfect. Throughout life, it is always moving toward an ideal goal, but never arriving. The actual self is not a static, but a dynamic thing. It is never completed and final, but always in a state of growth. It is important that we learn to accept this actual self with all its imperfections, because it is the only vehicle we have. The neurotic rejects his actual self and hates it because it is imperfect. In its place, he tries to create a fictitious ideal self, which is already perfect, has already arrived. Trying to maintain the sham and fiction is not only a terrific mental strain, but he continually invites disappointment and frustration when he tries to operate in a real world with a fictitious self. A stagecoach may not be the most desirable transportation in the world, but a real stagecoach will still take you coast to coast more satisfactorily than will a fictitious jetliner. Prescription: accept yourself as you are and start from there. Learn to emotionally tolerate imperfections in yourself. It is necessary to intellectually recognize our shortcomings, but disastrous to hate ourselves because of them. Differentiate between yourself and your behavior. You are not ruined or worthless because you made a mistake or got off course, any more than a typewriter is worthless, which makes an error, or a violin, which sounds a sour note. Don't hate yourself because you're not perfect. You have lots of company. No one else is either. And those who try to pretend they are kidding themselves. You are somebody now. This is a good place to pick up tomorrow. All right, well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Looks like some other people have joined us since we got started. Very cool. All right, I believe everybody that's here has been here at least once, if not more times than that. And we've got a couple different people. Let's see, we've got Landon and we've got Stephanie and we have Mercedes that all participate actually in group coaching. So I know that we've already had a lot of talking with each other over the last day or so. However, if you still have anything you want to share, anything you want to ask, feel free. This is your opportunity to share what you would like to share or ask whatever questions you would like to ask. So what is fair game? Anything in relationship to what we've studied in the past, what we've gone over today, and or anything in relationship to attracting more money and wealth into our lives. Anything that you want to share with successes or any questions you may have, feel free to do so. So this is your time. All you have to do is come off mute, start sharing, and we'll take you in the order that you do that. And if you guys don't share anything, we will end this. By the way, the afternoon meeting that I had, because we were trying to find other people that wanted to attend later, pretty much was the same people all the time, and new people weren't coming to that. So I went ahead and dismissed that meeting. So starting this afternoon going forward, that meeting is not going to happen. This one has stayed very consistent, and we're going to go ahead and keep this. But the one that happens at noon my time, don't know what that is your time. I'm in California, that one is no longer happening. So go ahead, and if you have something to share, please do. And come off mute and either share what you want to share or ask whatever questions you want to ask. Thank you. Like I said, I know I've talked with Landon, Mercedes, and Stephanie a lot in the last day, quite a lot. But everybody else, if you don't have anything to ask or share, I'm going to assume you have everything you want.
Not today. I'm just, I've been studying for a certification, and, that's all I've been doing is focusing my time and attention on studying for the certification and taking their exams. So that's what I do all day long for the last 5 days, day and night. It's a lot of information.
It is.
It is. It's quite a lot. So that's why I missed sessions, because it's a priority.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
So I don't have any questions because I just do this. That's all I do is I'm at the computer day and night reading and taking exams right now.
Cool.
Yeah,
How's it going?
it's great.
Good. Good.
It's great. I'm very grateful. I'm tired, but I'm very grateful. It's going to be big stepping stones. God has put this in my life. It is His will, and it's a blessing. It's going to be a great blessing. Great things are going to be happening because this is part of the stepping stone to it's just the beginning.
Cool.
Greater things are going to be happening. It's what I believe.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So passing the test, no issues, everything.
That was just one segment. There's like 5 segments. I've passed two of the segments.
Yeah.
So I'm on number 3.
Okay, good.
I've got to get them all done, hopefully before Friday. That's when we're talking with $1 million client. So I want to get this done before Friday.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, stay the course and remember to do something fun. Just so you don't burn out. Make sure you go purposely do something fun so that you stay recharged.
I walk the dogs. I've got to walk the dogs.
Okay. Is that fun?
It is refreshing. I listen to a book. I listen to my books on Audible while I'm walking. So yeah, it is refreshing. It's good to get out and breathe fresh air. It's okay. It's fun. Right. Okay. It's fun. It's fun.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, hon.
Yeah, you're welcome. Welcome, welcome. Anybody else?
Yeah, Kevin.
Hi, Betsy.
Hi, how are you?
Terrific.
I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to explain this very well or not, but my husband, I mean, I've always believed this, and I just want it confirmed, I guess. My husband, he always complains that I leave my shoes out in the middle of the floor, or I don't pick things up like I should, or, he complains a lot about different things that I might do. Isn't that something that's in him that he is kind of complaining about a little bit?
Well, everything that makes us feel bad is us making up our mind to feel bad. Because whatever you're doing just is. What you're doing is a fact. Shoe is in the middle of the floor. That's a fact. Betsy's trying to annoy me. That's a story. Did that just make sense?
Well, it's not, at times I think like I do it on purpose. Maybe,
well, then, okay.
Maybe sometimes.
Yeah, okay. So then you got some story going on that you're justifying in your mind why you have the need to annoy somebody. You're either trying to get you're trying to get revenge or retribution, or there's something about you that you like the drama.
I don't. I hate drama.
Okay, well, then if you're doing it on purpose, it's going to create drama.
Right.
There's a difference between on purpose and not on purpose. So if
Well,
you're doing it,
yeah.
if you're doing it on purpose and you say you hate drama, you're lying to me.
Okay. I always thought it was a lot of it, but I always thought it was a lot of it was him because I mean, he's always saying that I stack things, but he's more of a stacker. To me, I feel like he's more of a stacker than I am.
I
And
don't know. And I don't really, it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Uh, his responses to you are going to be better when you don't actually make your responses based on anything he says or does. But when you just decide in your mind how you want to live, you choose the way you want to live, you choose the end results that you want, and you treat everybody the way you want to be treated. And I get it. I've been married for a while. I'm not saying I never have an argument. Okay. So that'd be lying to say, oh yeah, never ever. Right. But when we do something and we know what the likely outcome is going to be, yes, it's still their response to our action. But if we've got a pretty good clue that they're not going to like it and we do it with the intention of pestering, how can that possibly bring any good to you?
Well, it doesn't. I mean, I've been reacting to him a lot differently than I used to being to this class. I just say thank you for telling me is what I say, and I'll try to do better next time. I
Cool.
mean, that's what I've been doing. So
Awesome.
it's a lot better, but I just wanted to ask you that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, did you get what you expected as an answer?
Um, well, yeah, he doesn't say much after that.
No, from me? Did you get from me what you expected to hear
Oh,
as an answer?
basically, yes.
Yeah, I just told you what you already knew.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So your choice. Right. Your choice.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Anything in relationship to money and wealth, please.
I know we're bad because you're such a wealth of all kinds of good information.
Maybe, but that's why
I know, honey. I
Mercedes,
understand.
Stephanie, and Landon, when I talk with them in the group coaching, we talk way more about money and wealth, and all of them have things that are growing with their money and wealth now. Every single one of them has made more money because they talk about that. You want to talk about other problems, then you'll get other problems. So, but I would rather focus on the money and wealth, at least for this group. If I wanted a relationship group or whatever, then I'll start one. So, and I get some people do, and yes, the laws apply to everything when you understand them. That is true. But you guys initially joined this group because you wanted more money and wealth in your life. So that's what I want to help you attain.
And it's helped me. Yes, I could see where the paradigm has shifted
Mhm.
big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And I'm taking those giant leaps.
Awesome. I'm going to say a shout out to Art because I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. You have anything to share or at least say hello?
Hey, well, let's see. The last time I saw you, I manifested $75,000 and it was pretty amazing. And then ended up spending just about all of it. I mean,
Okay.
I paid off a lot of bills, and I think the initial thing when I got it was disbelief and fear in getting the money. And I kind of had that feeling of, that, almost unworthiness of having it. And that's what kind of, I think, pushed it away.
Yeah.
So now I'm building myself back up to get to that. Cause I know I can manifest that money.
Yeah.
But now I have to manifest that feeling of worthiness to get that money back and to make more or earn more, bring more in.
Sure.
And that's been the hard thing for me because it's like, paradigms or habits, man, and they're hard to break,
Yeah.
And so I've been working on that, and I've gone into the trough of dark places in myself that I didn't really realize I had until I went there.
Yeah. Well, and to actually improve your life, I used to think you had to dig up and figure out what was in there.
Hmm.
You don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Matter of fact, here's what happens psychologically, and here's what happens at a subconscious level. Every time we go into the past, our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between the past, present, future. It just reacts to vibration and emotion. So when we go back and relive it, we impress on our subconscious mind once again that which we don't want. And it gets stronger. So let me kind of explain it this way instead. Think of a cell phone for a moment, right? A lot of people think, especially in kind of the psychiatric world, that you got to bring up the past so that you can release it and forget about it. Your subconscious mind forgets nothing, and you can't make it forget anything. So it actually never forgets. Okay. Well, that sucks, right? Well, sucks or not sucks, it's the truth. It never forgets. That doesn't mean we have to respond the same way to whatever happened, all right? But it never forgets. But the real thing that we want to do is this: say, okay, that happened. We're not going to discuss it anymore, because, and when we discuss it, it wakes back up. And then it's likely to reproduce itself because we can't forget it. Talking about it, oh, now I know I got whipped when I was a kid and this has happened and here's all my stuff and whatever. Oh, I feel better because I can relate to everybody else now. That's the better feeling. Hey, we're all screwed up. That's what we get out of it. And so I don't feel so bad because I don't feel like I'm the only one screwed up. So that could be the one positive that comes out of it. But outside of that part, usually we can't forget it. We do our best to let it go, but then something will trigger something later on and it brings it back up again. Okay. So here's what the better idea is to do. Think of that thing that you don't want that's in opposition to what you do want. Think of it as a cell phone. And think of it as a cell phone that the vibrator on it is on high. Like it's the type that practically jumps off the table. You've seen people with phones like that, where it looks like it's going to go fly away every time they've got it so high. And then it's ringing super loud and it's got this obnoxious sound. And everybody in the room is looking at the person like, you idiot, we're in church right now. Wherever you are, right? It is so obnoxious that nobody can ignore what's going on with that cell phone. But let's say you buy a new cell phone. And let's say the cell phones, these are perpetually powered, so they never run out of power. So it won't just shut off and die. You have it. But what happens is you get a new cell phone, a new idea, it's what you want, and you implant that into your subconscious mind too. And it is also, you're succeeding at it, but when you first start going, it's actually kind of on quiet. It vibrates a little bit and the ringer's not very loud, but it's going off at the same time as your old cell phone. Your old cell phone still kind of has your attention. But as you focus on what you want, here's what happens. Your new cell phone, the volume and vibrate and everything go up, and it's a more pleasant sound and it feels better and you like it, you know, maybe it's even a song or something you like versus ah. And what happens is this cell phone, because it never dies battery, but what happens is the vibration goes down and then slowly you're turning your volume down. And eventually what happens is everything, your notifications, even though it still exists, it's in your subconscious mind, you're not getting notifications anymore about what's on that phone. Because you shut all your notifications off, your sound is off, vibrates off. So it's still there, but it's essentially asleep. And the only way it becomes a problem again is if you go touch anything to make it loud again. Right?
Yeah.
So you stay focused. You got the new cell phone that is now taken over, and that's what runs your life. That's your new program. Because again, your subconscious mind won't forget it, but it can go that way. Now, what happens though is this cell phone right here too, if you get it it's charged, it stays charged, but you get everything in alignment and it's ringing like you want, it buzzes like you want, notifications are what you want, it has your attention. You got to do whatever you did to get it there and continue to do that. You can't just stop, even though it's in your subconscious, because it's going and this one's quiet. But here's what happens if you don't stick with it. The world news, social media, your colleagues will say things, and for some reason you feel the desire to go check your old cell phone again. And in order to check it, you have to wake it up. And it starts doing its thing again. And now you got a problem going on. But if you choose to keep this one always on at its loudest, this way, if you start noticing, hey, that's vibrating over there, or wow, there's that annoying sound, but it's not all loud anymore, you can go, oops, and go put it away again, turn it down, and stay focused over here on the new cell phone and what's going on and what it's telling you. And as long as you continue to do that, even though this exists in your life, this isn't the reality of what you're manifesting anymore. This is just memory, and it's not active. This is what you're manifesting now, which is what you want. So you want to keep that alive. But the only way to keep it alive is whatever got you to wake it up and have it implant in the first place. So you now have them both there. You have to keep doing those things. You have to actually choose what you allow in. And if you stay vigilant about choosing what you allow in, and the other part too, when you achieve something cool, go achieve something else cool and go achieve, because then you get in the habit of, like there was talking in psychocybernetics, we're goal striving mechanisms. It wants to keep you creating more cool for your life. And so now you got these programs running, and these are all still in your subconscious, but they're on mute. The notifications are off, and they can't mess around with you unless you turn this one to quiet so that we let stuff back in that wakes this one up.
Makes sense.
Cool.
Thank you. That's great.
You're welcome.
Okay, Kevin, I'm gonna say one thing. I like that phrase. I'm creating cool for my life.
Well, there you go. Creating cool, man.
That's right. I'm gonna, my family, God love them. They're that other cell phone.
Yeah. So let's not talk about, so we don't need to talk about the other cell phone.
Nope, we're not talking about them.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna create my finances, my cool.
That's right.
That's it.
Hey,
That's my cool
doesn't
for my
Art look
life.
like kind of that cool guy anyway?
He is cool. He does. I was trying to look at his little room that he was in. It's got a history.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
Cool, man.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Art, would you be willing to share how you manifested that 75,000?
I'm pitching a television show to Netflix, and we got some development money to develop the show, and I got money, I should say, and I basically got it and got really scared, and but I spent it on things. Let's just say I just spent it on things, but I got money from various
were you
people.
visualizing it, or were you, seeing yourself already spending it? Like,
yeah. I saw myself. I saw myself with it. I saw myself with actually $100,000. I got slightly short, but I ended up seeing myself spending and paying off some bills, investing toward the show, which I did, and there it was. I mean, last year, during the whole lion's share of last year, the pandemic, I thrived from March until I'd say just about December. And then, then it just, at this point, it's like, I still feel really great, but it's the vibration kind of went down a little bit, and I'm just trying to.
You also forgot to hire me like you said you were going to.
Yes, I know.
Or you would have kept it. You probably had more.
Yeah.
So you might want to think about that again. You might want to join the group that Stephanie's in and Landon's in, Mercedes is in. There's 8 people in that group right now.
Okay.
And every one of them has already had successes in a very short period of time of some sort. And predominantly, not that that matters, but the majority of them are starting from a 6-figure or better income in the first place.
I love it. Yeah, please. Could you forward me that, or how do I get involved in that?
Go ahead and email me today, coachkevinsparks@gmail.com.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Do that right now. Cool.
Awesome. Okie dokie. Anybody else? Any questions or comments?
Yeah, so like I said, I manifested some more money. I made the most tips I made like in years, but I'm kind of exhausted with my job,
Yep.
like 6 days a week. I do massage therapy, so an 8 hour day is a lot. I do about 6 massages. So I'm just exhausted, and I really want a job where I can work like 2 to 4 hours working from home, so I can
Okay.
have a lot more freedom.
Yep.
But I'm not really finding anything. I'm just like really exhausted, and I'm just like, I don't know if I need to take a break. I need to have fun. Like,
Well, to have fun, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You need to go have some fun.
yeah, 'cause I'm not like really,
And you're social. You're pretty social, aren't you?
yeah,
So you can't just go out. You need to actually go have fun with someone
yeah,
or a multiple. And COVID schmovid, right? Just make sure it's a small enough group that nobody's gonna, pester you guys. But get somebody else who believes like you do that you'll be just fine, or two people or three, and collectively go do something that's fun. You need to go do something fun to recharge. The other thing too, I would tell you about your visualization is in your lifestyle, and I know it takes a little bit, you need to convince yourself, and not just in words, you got to feel good about it. And right now you're feeling bad about it, I can tell, is that, hey, you know what? I can triple my income, double my time off and triple my income. Make that a mantra for yourself. Something to that effect, right? Double my time off and triple my income. Get it down to 20 hours or so in your mind and live. But you have to then, if you give yourself that time back in your imagination, in your visualization, in your emotionalizing this, then you actually have to decide what you're going to do with that time. You can't just create empty space. I mean, you can when it happens, but it has to mean something to you. So what would you be doing with your time if you had it back? If your income doubled or tripled currently, and you had, instead of working 40, you only work 20, so you had 20 hours brought back to you, what would you be doing with that money and with that time?
and just write it down.
Yeah, well, right now, why don't, in a general, what would you do? What would you do? You now your income just doubled, and your time off just your work hours got cut in half. So your income, I know that's not your ultimate lifestyle yet, right? But let's get a win, like it was talking about in psycho-cybernetics. Maybe that's the win you should focus on if you're having a tougher time with the bigger picture, because you still don't know how you would work only 20 hours and double your income. But
Yeah.
let's just say that you are doing it. Boom. Okay, it's now granted. But what is your why? What is it that you would do with the time and with the money on a regular basis?
Yeah, I have to think about it. What I would do every day. Yeah. So I'll visualize my daily routine. What I would do.
Yeah, I mean, your routine, like what I personally, I would be like, okay, well, I got this time and I have the money. I mean, again, not the full blown everything I want for my life. I get it. But if you had twice as much money as you have right now, right, coming in, it wasn't going to slow down. And you only had to work 20 hours for it, how would you spend your days? Not like every day doesn't have to be a duplicate of itself. That would get old, right? But there would be some routine. You'd be like, well, there's some stuff I would like to do every day, but there's things you'd like to do once a week. There's things you'd like to do once a month, right? So create that for yourself possibly, and then maybe create the next step. But for right now, instead of, oh, I'm exhausted, I get it. One, you need to go have some fun. I can tell.
Yeah.
You're at that point where, and again, yours isn't go off like Stephanie going off hiking and doing what she did yesterday. That was fine. She didn't need to have somebody with her to get recharged. Your personality, you do. Probably, right? I mean, if there are things you do all on your own that recharge you too, then obviously that's a little bit easier right now. But if not, I'm sure there are some people that would be in alignment and agreement with you that are probably feeling like they want to get out and do something fun too.
Yeah, I was playing kickball this time last year before the pandemic. And I just emailed that they're starting the league again. So I'm gonna join. So I'm gonna start doing it. So yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
yeah. And then see the money coming in. It doesn't have to come in from your job. You just got to see it, right? Because it's not your job you're in love with anyway. Ultimately, I already know that. I know there's other things that hold your interest a lot more, right? But and this is just a thought, could you potentially market to a slightly different, and I know you work at a job, but could you market to a slightly higher end clientele and get paid 50% more per client?
Definitely, yeah.
Or double, right? So
Yeah.
that's another way. Oh, there's another way I could do it. I could just get clients that pay twice as much and then not increase my hours, just keep my hours, bring my hours down to 20. And then you're making, you're offsetting. There's just different ways to do it. But you've got to have a reason, and the reason has to feel real to you for it to come. In Art's case, he saw himself spending the money and therefore he doesn't have it anymore, but that's okay because he knows he can manifest it. Now we got to learn in how to, other things that need to happen. But yeah. And by the way, if you're ever feeling, and maybe it's just today you're feeling this way, but if you're feeling that like throughout the week, since you know that you and I have an opportunity to talk more than normal than some others, hit me up for a conversation
Okay.
so I can help you.
So do you think like having fun should be a daily thing or more like a once a week type of thing?
What were you used to?
Well, to me, I just feel like I don't have the time every day, but I would say at least once a week I try to.
That's a minimum, right?
Yeah.
You should have some form. You should purposely go do something that's like, wow, that's fun. Like that is fun. Not like, oh, that's pretty cool. You should like, that is fun. You should pick that is fun thing at least once a week. On a daily basis, you probably should do something where you're like, that's fun. That's a breakup of my routine. That's something that I enjoy doing, but it's not over the top necessarily, right? But you should have something daily that makes you smile.
Yeah. It sounds good.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Mercedes. All right. Anybody else? Okie dokie. Again, Coach Kevin Sparks at gmail.com if you want to talk about coaching. And if not, no more comments, questions, I will see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you.
All right.